Welcome to Let's Get Writing. I'm Catherine Taylor. Let's Get Writing is all about the writing process from creation to publication. Here is where you can find inspiration, ideas, and meet the people behind the stories. I like to say that we bring life to books. Now, you can ask a question in the comments, and we'll do our best to get back to you. And also, if you'd like to keep up with all the shows, please subscribe at YouTube, Catherine Taylor TV, or on Facebook at Catherine Taylor Media. Now, my guest today is an actor, writer, storyteller, and director. He was born and raised in St. John's, Newfoundland, and as you know, our show does come from Newfoundland. He worked with CODCO, both in theater and on television, and with Sheila's Brush Theater Troupe. He has written and performed and toured 5 one-man shows, has performed in theatrical productions all across Canada and on numerous television shows, and has appeared in such films as Extraordinary Visitor, The Adventures of Faustus Bidgood, and Rare Birds. His writing and books have received numerous awards, as well as being shortlisted for many others. Welcome to the show, my guest, Andy Jones. And I'm just going to bring him up here now. Come on up, Andy. There we go. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Catherine. Nice to see you.
It's a pleasure to see you, Andy. And I like to tell people, because we never know where they are watching from, that this show originates from central Newfoundland, Canada, and you are on the East Coast in St. John's. And everyone knows St. John's for the weather. Oh my. So Andy, you're an icon really across Canada, in our province, in the region. You've done so much. And it's such a pleasure to have you here today. And when I thought of you, I wanted to ask, I mean, you are a performer and you are a writer. What has been your greatest satisfaction?
I think really that this is a quick answer, and that I think that I most enjoy is performing live for a live audience. That's just, I really enjoy writing. I love when you're on a roll in writing. It's one of the most satisfying things you can ever have in the world. It's also one of the most difficult things to do when you're not on a roll, or when facing kind of, I would say the loneliest walk in the world is the walk to the office to start writing for the day, especially if you're writing by yourself, except walking to the gallows. That you probably feel lonelier then a little bit, but generally I find walking to the office, I always think, oh my God, this is the loneliest walk in the world. And what's going to happen today? Am I going to, is anything going to happen, or are we going to spend the whole 2 or 3 hours as the most I can use, or maybe at 4 at the max, and unless I'm rolling. So, but performing live when you have it all together and when it's going well is the best of the best.
Yeah. Well, there's such, the difference. I mean, obviously, when you're performing live, there's an audience, there's an energy that comes back to you. And I mean, for example, doing this show, I don't get that immediate feedback that you get if you're in theater. So your audience is out there somewhere. And so, by the way, anyone listening, comments are always helpful to someone doing this. But when you're in theater, I mean, that energy is just amazing, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I just noticed that someone said that a priest will go to the gallows with you. Someone just wrote a comment there, Carolyn Parsons. And that's true, but I would imagine even with a priest with you, you'd be feeling pretty lonely. Anyway, good point, though.
Carolyn actually has been on the show a few times. She's a wonderful writer and very active with the Writers Alliance of Newfoundland and Labrador. So thank you for the comment, Carolyn. And I know my feelings sometimes when I'm writing. It's just that it's done in isolation, so it's getting yourself pumped up and ready to go. I use music. Do you ever do that, Andy? Do you write to music? No. Oh, there's an interesting fact.
I can't have anything on, absolutely anything on. I don't mind being in a crowded space, like I used to love to go to the library at Memorial University, or actually the library in the States, in California, where my daughter lives, and even the cafeteria at the Memorial University, which is like there's a buzz of people behind me, and I really enjoy that because I don't feel so lonely, but no one's talking to me.
Right.
But I can't use no.
Well, I find when it comes to music, classical music, I find easier because I don't get caught up in the lyrics. And, if I'm listening to, say, I love country music, then I start to hear the lyrics. So classical works better for me. And I think I've heard before that works for other people.
Yeah. Do you listen to a lot of music in your life? Or?
Oh, yeah.
You do, yes.
Huge. Yeah, I do.
Well, that must make a difference because it's so much part of the wallpaper of your life in a way that you don't use it so much. Yeah.
That's right. That's right, because it's there day and night, and I'm a big dancer and all my whole life teaching aerobics and things, so music's been there.
Okay. That's
yeah. So without it, that would be funny. So you and I are opposites here.
Yeah, very opposite. Yeah, no, I really don't. I like that dead silence or buzz.
Yeah, and if you put me where there was buzz, I'd be so distracted I'd never get anything done. So
is that right?
I think so. Yeah, I think I would. What I've learned about myself is that I see in a lot of detail, and maybe a little bit of, I don't know, OCD or something. So if something's moved or moving, my eyes and my mind go there. I've learned.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But when we talked earlier, before we did the interview, we had talked about the oral tradition of storytelling in Newfoundland, and I know that you've been so engaged with that. But has it influenced your writing, and in whether it's for CODCO or for your books?
I'm sure it has. I didn't really. I had already sort of finished with the writing of the CODCO theater shows before I ever really got into the oral tradition world. I mean, really, it was when we were working on the film, The Adventures of Faustus Bidgood, that I got a friend of mine, and Anita Best. You know Anita, of course, incredible Newfoundland singer and an amazing folklorist. I always mentioned because she just changed my life in so many ways by introducing me to the Jack tales, the Jack story. So as we were doing the film, I was getting people to come over. We were having all kinds of, just learning sessions and parties, and just having lots of fun. But anyway, Anita said, do you know these stories? And I said, no, I didn't know. I heard of Jack and the Beanstalk. She said, oh no, there's a tradition of Jack tales in Newfoundland. And I said, sure, no. And of course, her father-in-law was Pius Power, was a great storyteller from Southeast Bight and Placentia Bay. And so she started telling me these stories, and basically I never turned back from that. And in '79, then that was 77 or '78, and in '79 I wrote with Sheila's brush. We wrote Jack Meets the Cat, and I've been studying and reading folktales ever since, and must have had an influence on what I'm doing, I'm sure.
Well, you've got so many books, like of the Jack books, which have been published with Running the Goat Press. And I have to send a kudo out there because Marnie Parsons has been a guest on the show, and it was so delightful to have her there. And what she's creating in Torres Cove and what she's doing is absolutely exquisite. Yeah. I can't wait to get there this summer. That's part of my plan. So fingers crossed that I can. But
in St. John's, are you?
Pardon?
I mean, coming to St. John's?
Yeah,
Or,
I want to. Well, I
yeah,
want to go to see her. I think she's in Torsco, is she not? With
yes.
her, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, you're coming from central Newfoundland into St. John's. Right, right,
yes,
right.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
And Toronto.
And you know, the crazy thing is, I don't do that drive that often. I usually hop on a plane and fly to Halifax. So, you know, can't do that. So I'm coming your way. But, you know, seeing the artwork and, you know, in the Jack books, the way they've been put together, she brings in different artists with different feels. And, you know, tell me about those. There you go, Jack and Mary, how you feel about it all.
Well, I got to say, it's such a thrill to get the drawings. You know, when this book was illustrated by Darka
Here,
Ardelli.
you can hold it up there so people can see. I just gave you the screen. There we go. A little hard. It's out of focus a bit.
Is it? Okay, I can't tell.
Okay, pull it back a little bit. There we go.
Okay.
And to your right. There. And back. Okay, we can see it now.
You know, I was very lucky to have met Darka Ardelli, and she's from Slovenia, and she came here because she fell in love with a Newfoundlander who was studying over there. Maybe Marnie spoke to you about that already, Jason Smith. And I had been on tour with Jason, and he was telling me he was married and he had his wife and 2 kids in Slovenia, and they were about to come to Canada. And so, you know, I heard lots of stories, and then I got to meet her, and she's quite an amazing woman, amazing, fun woman, and a brilliant a painter and also a puppet maker and puppet scenographer. That's her. She has her master's in puppet scenography from University in Prague.
Wow.
And you know, over there you get to be, you know, get a master's in puppetry. It's such a different world, man.
Yeah,
it's just so amazing.
I've been to Prague. It's such a, well, the city itself is so beautiful, but I didn't not see any puppet shows. But one of my cousins is Jim Morrow with Mermaid Theater, and of course all their puppets. And you know, it's just a magical world. And I think that's what you've recreated in those books, the lyrical way they read, or how you've incorporated the Newfoundland dialect and the whole thing. It's just a beautiful, beautiful story.
Yeah, it's great. Now there are other illustrators since Darka did 3 of them or 4 of them, but it's great. It's great the day the pictures arrive, you know, and like, so Darka would be in Slovenia. She's moved back eventually, but so, you know, a big package of pictures arrive, and this is her interpretation of what I wrote. That's a pretty fabulous moment. And then we always have to go say, you know, we should have. Then actually, the designer, who was Veselina Tomova, who was Bulgarian, who came over with that big wave of people who defected from the East, and she came with that group. And luckily, they stayed here and they've become parts of the art, a great part of the art scene. Anyway, she designed the book, so she will say to Darka, "Look, I need a picture of, you know, one extra picture of this or that," and she puts it together. So it's pretty amazing. She's a very, very, very lucky person to get that.
Yeah, it is amazing because they are like works of art. It's just, and again, going back to Running the Goat, that's Marnie's touch. Like, she takes that time to find the right people and put them together.
She's just an amazing person, Marnie, and she has done such great things. Her store in Torres Cove, if you're in Newfoundland, get to Torres Cove and go to that beautiful store with her printing presses in it. She's got 3 or 4 old printing presses there. She does letterpress printing herself sometimes, although these books, of course, are commercially printed. But it's just a fabulous story, and she has. I mean, she's just exploding all the time. New and more things happening.
Very cool. And as she said, it can never be financially a business model to do the printing on those presses. So there are times where you have to go into the modern age and print the books
Oh,
otherwise to
yeah,
get
yeah,
them
I
out
can see.
there. But yeah, they're very.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
This is a love for Marty for sure.
you're pretty impressive yourself. I mean, everything you've accomplished and are still doing in your career is quite amazing. And I want to just come to your audiobooks because you've not only written the books, you've actually told the story, voiced those stories
Yeah.
through audiobooks. So tell us about that.
Well, again, I was very, very, very lucky. Well, Marty arranged all of this again and did all the work to make this happen, as usual. And I got to work with Chris Brooks and Christina Smith at Battery Radio in St. John's. And Chris Brooks, of course, is a internationally award-winning radio maker and maker of all kinds of documentary films and podcasts and so on. And he did the book, so they're beautifully done. I couldn't ask for better. The music is fabulous. That's in them. I gotta say, it makes the books. It makes them jump up 200%.
Yeah, I agree because I've listened to a lot of audiobooks and there's never been a use of music in the ones that I have listened to. And with these books, as you're creating it with your voice and bringing us there, they just have that violin or whatever musical sound that it will be that just comes in and just boom, takes you there. Yeah.
And they make effects with instruments and stuff. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and they're very good because it seems to express the emotion right at the time, and it was so enjoyable. I can only imagine. I wish my kids were young again because we'd have so much fun with those books. But you know what? We are still going to have fun with them because we love to read things like that. And
they're for any age, as I've been told by people who are scholars, that the folk tales were not told for children. They were not written for children. They were actually written for adults. But of course, children always attended every event because, Newfoundland, you didn't have babysitters. The kids came along and they fell asleep on the pile of coats or whatever, and they attended all the events. So they learned, but basically they're for adults. Although I change lots of things in my stories for that reason, because I write them more for children, it's great to live as a family.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you mentioned that tradition, I mean, our kitchens were the heart of the home. And I recall myself growing up that, we'd all gather. This would be families and cousins of cousins. And this, you'd all congregate in one house several times a year. And it was a lot of fun and a lot of stories told. Like,
and you actually grew up in Grand Falls.
I did, yeah. But my cousin, I had lots of cousins, not that many, but my cousin was Bob Petrie, and he was involved in the industry in St. John's and so on. And I mean, if anyone knew Bob, there was a storyteller, very funny storyteller.
Yeah, Bob Petrie was very, very special. Man, he's much missed in this world, in this the whole world, in this community for sure.
Yeah, we missed him too.
Yeah.
Yes, I laughed a few times at his stories, and
yeah. Wicked sense of humor. I loved his grand schemes he had for making movies. You just laugh so much. The ideas he had for, making a movie about Jamaica so we could all go to Jamaica and stuff like that.
Oh my! Oh, he's very missed. That's for sure. But Andy, what's your greatest strength when it comes to your personality? Is it your sense of humor? I don't know. For some reason, I pick that because it seems to come out so much in things you do. But you're also a fabulous dramatic performer.
I always like to do comedy. From the time I was a kid, I I still really want to be doing that. And I miss sketch comedy and I miss writing with other people, which I haven't done for a long time. And that's a kind of writing. I just talked back to Carol Ann Parsons, who was written in. didn't feel lonely going to work with other writers. And that's a very thrilling thing to do too. So, if you can write collectively, man, it's a great thing. So I always enjoyed that, and mostly comedy, yes.
I tend to really like comedy too. And when you think of writing comedy, there's a real art to that, and there's many ways you can approach it. There's dry wit, there's the stuff you did with CODCO, but did the well ever run dry when you were, say, for example, doing CODCO? How did you just year after year, and the ideas and the quirkiness of it all?
Well, I don't know if the well exactly ran dry. I mean, sure, things were not as good as other things, but there were 7 of us in the original company, and so we were all very young, and so we were all telling our life, our growing up stories and our education stories. So there was lots and lots and lots of material. Plus, we all came from storytelling families, so we had a lot of stories that our parents told us, all of which we used, all of their expressions, all of their stories. We constantly mined those, it's all through our work. And then when we went to do the television series, we'd already written the stage shows, so we were able to use a lot of that material. And then we were able to, but we never actually had, we had Greg Toomey was the only person who ever came in as a writer. And there's one other person, I think, but basically we wrote all our own material, which was rare.
Mm-hmm.
We had lots of stuff.
Well, if you think of Newfoundland, there's so many ways that people interpret Newfoundland. We are the butt of the joke so often across the country. And as Newfoundlanders, sometimes you're like, we can do it, but not you so much. We laugh at ourselves quite well, and people have ideas about us, but there's so much here.
It's an absolutely amazing place. And, I feel so lucky to have been born and grown up here. And there's so much, the use of language is so unique and so colorful. And, that we got lots and lots and lots of material from that. And then the fact that people were good storytellers, we got from that. Newfoundland's had an amazing history. Gosh, we were a country not that long ago of our own, and how that all came about, and we've been around for a long time. So there's there's great material here always. Yeah. Thank God we're here.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to run out anytime soon. And if you see now some of the cookbooks that are coming out, the foraging cookbooks, and some amazing things in that way. And then we have Justin Barber, who's going off into the wilderness with his dog and doing different things there, sort of that adventure. We've got books on hiking. The talent and the even the historical dramas and anything in books. And when I did this show, I had no idea that there would be so many authors coming out of our province. There seems to be no end to it. As fast as I could do a show probably every day. There's so many books coming by me from Newfoundland authors. Did you have the sense that it was quite that prolific here?
Well, I don't think that in the formal arts, it wasn't. When we were kids, certainly it wasn't. And even when we started to write, there weren't a lot of us. But it has grown exponentially. It really has just exploded. Can I ask you a question?
Oh, yeah.
You are going to edit this, right?
Actually, generally we don't, and
Okay.
Generally we don't. We just go for it.
Well,
We're not.
I have to blow my nose. Can I take a break?
You sure can. I'll fill. I'll even take you off screen there for a minute. Let's see if I can get my mouse. There we go. Here I am. Well, Andy's just taking a quick break, as he said, to blow his nose. So I'm here. But, as we're talking, and I did mention about this show, that it was 2017 when I got the idea to create Let's Get Writing. And at the time I was doing it through Rogers TV community channel. And it was a little difficult because people weren't always coming through Grand Falls, Windsor. So it limited who I could have as a guest. And I would check out, well, who's at the Arts and Culture Center? Or, you know, who might be coming through town on a book tour? Who can I get in the studio? So I did a few shows that year, and I continued on. And then each year, as people got to know, we'd find ways to get them into the studio. And then, of course, when things shut down in April last year, Andy's back, we just went right on to Facebook here. And then I could interview anyone, anywhere in the world. So I don't even want to go back the other way. This has opened up the world. And I can be here in central Newfoundland and talk to people like you. I mean,
yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, a lot of things have opened up since COVID.
Yeah.
There's some silver linings to the clouds.
Yeah, that is a silver lining. And it has been for some industries. It's been tough on the arts in some ways, but then in other ways, I think it's made people realize the value of our arts programs and of our artists, writers, and how much we need them and how much they are part of the community. When something's taken away, mainly performing artists and actors and so on, but the literature can still be in your hands. That's probably gone up, reading and book purchasing. So that may be another advantage.
Yeah.
Now, Andy, what's coming up for you we're going to see you anywhere around, any projects that you're working on?
Yes, I'm going to be at the a winter set in summer in Eastport in the middle of August. I'm going to be performing with Shakespeare by the Sea. I'll be sharing a role alternate days with Paul Rowe in their production of Pericles, and that'll be running July and August. It runs on Friday nights at 6 o'clock and Saturday afternoons at 2 o'clock. And that's pretty well it for me, formally right now.
Well, good. I hope I get to St. John's when I can catch you in that show, and fingers crossed that everything goes well for everyone, because we're all so looking forward to going to something real.
Thank you so much, Kathy. It's great talking.
Well, look, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I feel like we could delve into so much more, but maybe we'll do this again in a few months.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Well, you have a great day, and break a leg in all your projects, and we shall continue to enjoy your books. Please keep sharing those folk tales with us.
Thank you.
And folks, thanks for joining Let's Get Writing, and we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you again soon right here.